Why isn't it working? I'm so happy it seems to work. I don't have any sound yet.
Hello, sir. Hello, Dr. Nicolas Becu and Dr.
Yes, hello. Can
Sir.
you hear me?
Hello, yes, sir. We can hear
Hello.
you and we can see.
I'm so glad. I was a bit stressed because I didn't know I couldn't make it work. I'm so glad that I can connect with you.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Vinod.
Hi, Nicholas. How are things with you?
I'm very fine. I'm very fine and very pleased to be with you.
Welcome to India. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
How is France these days? Cold? Is it safe?
Yes. Well, yes. It is safe. It is a bit. It is a very stressful period for everyone. Everyone is stressed about what will be the impacts, about not being able to have a social life. So, well, I guess that we're more or less more in the same situation all over the world.
Okay. There is some good news in this part of the country. Our numbers are falling.
Yes.
New cases are falling rapidly. So I think that's good for every one of us.
I hope. Yes, I hope. Let me arrange a bit because the back is not very nice. So let me.
No. I like your coat very much. Let it be there. And Nicholas, you owe me the PDF file. Your slides.
Okay. Yes, my slides. Yes. How should I share them? Share the screen?
You send it to me by email later.
Later on. Okay.
Because I need to use at least 3 slides in the post webinar report.
Of course.
And
hello, good afternoon.
Here. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you, doctor?
I'm very well. I'm very fine. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Me as well. Nice to see you.
In our country, it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What about your country?
It's 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and we have a nice weather.
So you are fresh.
I'm not very far from the sea. We have a nice weather, so perhaps I will have a look at the shore after the webinar.
Oh. Okay, Vinod, how are you?
All well, sir. Thank you very much. Good to see
All
you
well.
after a
Very
very
good.
long time.
Very good. Okay. I think we can start the program. Let us start on time.
Yes.
Dr. Dubey?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bhartiya?
Yes. Yes. So, hello and welcome to all. Welcome to the webinar on simulation and gaming for participatory approaches to environmental issues. And the resource person for this webinar is Dr. Nicolas Becu, geographer at French National Center for Scientific Research, France. The program is organized by ISAGA2021, International Simulation and Gaming Association, and Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. To give the overview about this webinar, I would like to invite coordinator of ISAGA 2021, Dr. Jigyasu Dubey.
Thank you, Rupali ma'am. Today's speaker, Dr. Nicolas Becu, geographer at French National Center for Scientific Research, France. Dr. Upinder Dhar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, India. Respected Dr. Vinod Damlekarji, gaming and simulation expert and founder of Mantis. Respected Dr. Santosh Dhar, Madam, Dean, Faculty of Doctoral Studies and Research, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya. Dr. Anand Rajawat, Director, Shri Vaishnav Institute of Information Technology. My colleague, Mrs. Rupali Bhartiya, all the ISAGA members, head of the institutes, head of the departments, faculty members, research scholars, and my dear young friends. It gives me immense pleasure to extend very warm greetings to all of you on behalf of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore in this webinar. Friends, International Simulation and Gaming Association, ISAGA, is a professional association for students, teachers, trainers, researchers, practitioners, and other professionals. Its aim is to promote gaming simulation methods, including research, consultancy, learning, and teaching methods such as traditional business and management simulation games, policy exercises, computer simulation, and computer supported simulation games, role play, learning games, scenarios, dynamic case studies, business theaters, etc. ISAGA 2021, the 52nd Annual International Conference of ISAGA, will be organized by Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya Indore at its campus in Indore, India between 6th to 10th September 2021. The theme of the conference is Gaming, Simulation and Innovations, Challenges and Opportunities. This event is the first international ISAGA conference in India. The university is organizing a webinar series on gaming and simulation with emphasis on the conference theme as prelude to the conference. Our key speakers are ISAGA members and other gaming and simulation professionals. Till now, 6 webinars have been conducted. Today is the 7th webinar of this series, and the resource person is Dr. Nicolas Becu, geographer at French National Center for Scientific Research, France. He speaks on simulation and gaming for participatory approaches to environmental issues. I am delighted to welcome Dr. Nicolas Becu. We are grateful to you for providing your time for the 7th webinar of this special series. I also welcome all the ISAGA members, gaming and simulation experts, faculty members, research scholars, and students. We truly value your participation and support. I am sure this will be a very exciting and acknowledgeable journey for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Conference Chairperson ISAGA 2021 and Vice Chancellor of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya Indore, Dr. Upinder Dhar, for the welcome address.
At the outset, I would like to welcome Dr. Nicolas Becu to this webinar, which we are organizing as a part of the series that we started a few months back. ISAGA 2020 could not be held because of the disruptions created by COVID-19 across the world. But we are very happy that we will be organizing ISAGA 2021 in India for the first time in the history of the association, the society. Well, the purpose of starting this webinar series was to keep gamers and those who are involved in simulations engaged, so that interest remains in the conference, and also it has to be a continuing procedure so that we can get connected through these webinars. There is no doubt that COVID-19 has disrupted businesses and other kinds of organizations across the world, but at the same time, certain things have come as a blessing in disguise. COVID has, in real sense, made it the whole world, brought us all together, made a digital village. So today, see, Professor Becu is, Dr. Becu is sitting in France, and we are sitting in India, and there are some friends who are located in other countries. So we are getting connected because of this digital era, which has been accelerated by COVID-19. So, though on one hand, COVID had done a lot of damage, but at the same time, we should give credit to COVID-19 for accelerating certain things which we would have done, say, maybe after 2 years or 3 years. So we are better connected today, irrespective of the physical distance. So physical distance has become irrelevant because we are able to get connected and communicate very freely, communicate very effectively, and listen to each other, learn from each other. So this series we have found is quite useful and a good learning experience. Previous webinars were conducted by some of our friends from various countries. Interestingly, various countries, not from only Sweden or only says Australia, but from various countries. That is, but this time it is for the first time that we are having guest speaker, a well-known gamer, one who has been in the area of games and simulation for a long time and is well-known in his own right. Therefore, I am very much confident that by the end of this webinar, we will be richer in our knowledge. We will learn from Dr. Becu many things which we do not know, which we may not be knowing. And we can enrich and upgrade our games as well as simulation exercises. So with these words, once again, welcome Professor Dr. Becu to this webinar. So for next about 1 year, one hour, we'll be listening to you, and then there will be some questions from the participants who are even in India. They are all placed at different places. You see, at present, because of this COVID-19, we are not calling students to the campus. So they are getting connected from their homes, because we can't call them and ask them to be in the hostels. Therefore, they are getting connected from home. So all this, everything is happening online these days. And therefore, I'm sure that we will have a lot of great learnings from this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before inviting Dr. Nicolas Becu for the session, I would like to introduce him. Dr. Nicolas Becu is a researcher in geography at CNRS, French National Research Center. He is specialized in the design, use, and evaluation of participatory modeling and gaming simulation applied to environmental issues. He currently conducts and leads research programs at the Literal Environment and Societies Laboratory based in La Rochelle, France. His research topics include the analysis of the use of simulation and games to support social and organizational transformations at the territorial scale. Applications are in the domain of coastal risk management, marine natural resources, and marshlands and land use planning. I invite Dr. Nicolas Becu for the session. I request him to please start the session.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me well. Thank you, Dr. Upinder. Thank you to all of you for your invitation to this ISAGA webinar. I'm very pleased to be here with all of you, and to share a bit some experience about the use of simulation and gaming for environmental management and tackling environmental issues. I will share my screen, and please tell me if it works well. Share the screen. Yep. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so I will try to speak for about 35-40 minutes. Is this? Oh no! Oh no! Wait, it comes. Yes. So indeed, I'm working at this French National Institute in the coastal area environment and society laboratory, which is based in La Rochelle, not so far from the shore. And there we are conducting many research on dealing with marine and coastal issues, including fisheries, including coastal risk management, including as well marine conservation. And in my lab, there are many researchers who are more environmental scientists, and myself, as it has been said, I'm more social scientist. and I link with my colleagues from who are more environmental scientists to create opportunities to connect with the society, to connect with stakeholders, and in that aim, I'm very the main tool I'm using is simulation and gaming. So working with environmental scientists and with stakeholders, there we need communication tools. We need to create some links between those different arenas, different spheres of people, and I hope I will convince you that simulation in gaming is really a great tool to create this connection between persons, people, stakeholders, including scientists that have different perspectives on environmental issues, and that those tools that we are using are well suited for that. So it doesn't disappear. This no, I will put it here. Oh, there it is. So I would like to have my talk in several parts, and start a bit by the origins, then some of the fundamentals of the use of the participatory use of simulation and gaming, and then after a case study, an example of application of that kind of approach. So for the first part, I would like to start by a bit the background that is behind this participatory use of simulation and gaming. Actually, it's not new, and this is fortunate. It has been it originates from perhaps the start of simulation and gaming. So if we come back to the start of simulation and gaming, and I'm trying to click so that it's there it is. We have to remember that simulation and gaming originates from long ago, from perhaps not a century, but at least for 50 years or so. And at first, it was it comes from all the studies that have emerged in the beginning of the 90s on system analysis. And the fact that during that time, at that period, a new way to deal with the issues that were encountered was to think our world into a system. And a system means looking at the interactions between the different sets of different components of an issue. This later has been perhaps reformulated or rethought as complex systems. We think often about the environmental issue as complex, as being incorporated into complex systems. And at that moment, or in the 50s and 60s, to deal with those with those complex systems, there were two ways were tackled. Two ways to have some operational models to deal with those complex problems. One way was the computation way, and the computation way still operates today with developing models, mathematical models, computer simulations that we all know about, simulation of climate change that help us to better forecast on what could be the future about the climate change. And another way, another branch of operational models to deal with complex problems was gaming. And gaming was thought that at that moment as an analytical method that had several advantages. The advantages of gaming as thought at that period was that it is tools. The games and gaming are tools that are flexible and that you can adapt. As well, it deals with experience, with being able to handle the game PCs, the elements, so that you can interact, that the people can interact directly with the elements of those problems that are faced. So by having a game about for example, the operation of railways and trains, you can handle your train, you can change it, you can play with it, and therefore it gives another texture to how you interact with the system. And then at that moment, of course, as it has been said as by my previous presenters, what comes as an added value of this gaming method as compared to computational methods is that it is well suited for communication and feeling about those complex systems. So you certainly have some heard about the different experience and games at that time. Here you have a set of games that were developed at that period, and the idea was to use those games as methods to improve the quality of decision making. Of course, you know that games are also used for teaching. But but my focus here is on games that are used for decision making. So what are those added value? To better communicate about complex issues. I've talked about it. To produce meaningful changes, because those games are designed also to be used as free play methods, there where you can change the rules, you can change the game basis, you can make the game evolve, and use the game as a way to imagine and to imagine new sets of rules, new ways to deal with those complex problems. So that was one part of the background I wanted to focus on. The second part is about the notion and the concept of socio-ecological systems. Environmental issues are dealing with those socio-ecological systems. Socio-ecological systems means that the issues that we are facing are composed of environmental dynamics that you can have here, such as biochemical habitats, food chain, traffic chains between different compartments of the biological system, and interacting with pressures or activities that are themselves connected to practices. Fishermen are interacting with the social environment, and they belong to different community of practices, community of places, because they belong to different geographical spaces, and also belong to different ideology of how to deal and interact with those natural environments. So the idea of what is important about those socio-ecological systems is that they involve both ecological dynamics and human activities. Here, another thing which is important in socio-ecological systems is the fact to really to understand that humans are plural and have different goals and objectives in relation to these environmental issues. Here, if we have an issue about dolphins and about bycatch of dolphins, the fishermen will have different connection with dolphins and different ways to a different way to interact with dolphins as compared to NGO members or as compared to governmental officers. The way that different actors, different stakeholders interact with those environmental issues shaped their perception and their objectives and goals towards towards the environment. In the same idea, humans are players and also have different perspectives and point of views about the nature and the components and the elements of the nature. Here you have an example. If we take a buffalo, for example, a hunter would see a buffalo as a trophy. It's an example. Local communities would see a buffalo as a myth. Villagers would see buffalo, may see buffalo as a members, or farmers as a working force. So we all perceive, and when we are dealing with those environmental issues, we are dealing with people who are talking about the same thing, but with different perspectives and having different representation about dolphins, about other components of the nature. Last but not least, in socio-ecological systems, we'll deal with governance. And governance, what is governance? Governance is the decision-making process that creates and enforces rules about what people may, must, or must not do in interaction with one another and with the rest of the socio-environmental system. And governance is composed of different arenas. Governance is also plural and is also a process that deals with different organizations. The former Nobel Prize of Economy, Elinor Ostrom, had proposed this figure about a framework for analyzing socio-ecological systems. And what she shapes here is that socio-ecological systems have to deal with a governance system that is composed of different arenas, of different subsystems. So when we take an issue about fisheries, for example, you have to deal with fishermen organizations, but you also have, but those fishermen organizations are also part of other arenas of action, of other arenas where decision-making process operates, and this structure of how governance works is very important to understand. In other words, when we deal with socio-ecological issues, we cannot think about the governance as a top-down structure. It doesn't work like this in our world, in our complex world. It doesn't work like this. You cannot just work with a decision maker that would be of high level and say, okay, this will operate, and then a solution would occur, because this solution will be spread by a top-level decision maker. We have to deal with multiple arenas, which are different level of organizations and which interact together. The local communities have their own decision-making processes. The food chain producers have their own arena of decisions. Institutions also, and all those arenas interact together, and it is with this level of complexity that we have to deal with. So, what is the role of gaming simulation within this complex system of decision making? If we take this figure of IPCC about the general strategies for enhancing socio-ecological system resilience and change, You have different compartments of how this changes and where are the places where we can where we can operate change. So broaden participation, maintain diversity and redundancy, foster complex system understanding, enhancing polycentric governance. Simulation and gaming, for me, in my sense, operates more in this right side of type of solutions. What the role of simulation and gaming within those environmental changes operate here. Maintain diversity and redundancy between actors. Encourage learning and experimentation. We are not about providing solutions. We are about encouraging learning and experimentation to build the people's own understanding, foster complex system understanding. So it's here that simulation and gaming operates. Another thing about the use of simulation, the role of gaming and simulation within the system is that we also often say that simulation and gaming would help to create, enhance, promote collective decision. But how does this operate? Let's take a moment to better understand how it works. If we take a game and a gaming session, what happens in the interaction between the players and the game? The game operates as an intermediary object or mediation object. It means that people see in the game, in the mediation object, an artifact in which they can project, they can apply, they can communicate their representation of the world, their representation of a dolphin, their representation of a buffalo. The game there is a mean to create a mediation between the different person, because each person will communicate his representation through the game. It is through this process, through this social process that operates the game becomes a common object and can be used as a mean for collective decision. I will come back on this figure a bit later. So from these elements, what can we take as fundamentals of participatory gaming, fundamentals elements of participatory gaming and simulation? Well, just before to come into those fundamentals, one last conceptual aspect is to really understand the difference, the difference between design in the small and design in the large. Gaming is about using our games and evaluate our games, but is also a lot of our activities about designing those games. When it comes to designing games that aim for participatory use, design in the small and design in the large makes a lot of sense. A game or an artifact here that you have here have different levels of designing of design. You have you have the design of the game by itself, designing the game pieces, designing the rules of the game, designing how the players can interact with the game pieces. These are all the level of the design that help to frame what is the game and how and the rules of the game. The design in the large is the way that you incorporate the game into a social system. If you choose to have to play the game with a group of fishermen, it's different than choosing to play the game with a mixed group of officers and fishermen and other persons from the or people, perhaps a person who are managers at the harbor or at different places. So choosing your participants and incorporating your game, integrating your game within the social system is what is an aspect that is really important in terms of integrating your process in the socio-ecological governance systems. And this refers to also other elements of design. So choosing participants, how you communicate your game, how your games will circulate within the social system. And this is what you can refer to as design in the large. So design in the small is designing the game, design in the large is designing the process, how the game is used and deployed in the territory. So what is important in design in the small, in designing the game, when it comes to designing games that are dedicated to participation? As for other games, as for learning games or teaching games, of course, usability of the game is something very important. You have to well choose to well design your game so that people can interact with it with ease, and that the use is so I come to the second point. The one was usability. The second point is, of course, you have to take into account that the fun of the game, it has to be engaging. So another aspect is the flow of the game. You all heard about the concept of flow of the game that encourage and enhance the engagement of players. If at some point players get bored and don't have any reaction from any incentive from the game, then you lose the flow and you lose the engagement. But when it comes to using games dedicated to participation, another aspect has to be taken into account, which is observability. Observability is the fact that players, are able to recognize and to observe the game and the game pieces and the game elements as part of elements that connect to their reality. So here in this little example, you have the game element, which is this those drawings, and observability can be the fact that you add an element into the game that helps the player to connect to their reality. So to say it in another way, if the game is a common object, okay, and you have those players who interact with the common object, for them to be able to use the game as a means for collective decision, it means, as I told you previously, so I come back to this point that I had made some minutes ago, is that the players have to be able to project their reality and to perceive in the game some elements that represent their own perception of the system, and that's how they so a game that is aimed for participation has to incorporate representations from the system, from the players. People come with their own representation, with their own perspective to a game session, and the game has to be open enough in order to accept and to be a mirror of their own way of thinking. So so what would be counterproductive would be to have a game that refrains any player to add some elements. A closed game is not meant for participatory use. And having this observability can be very easy, can be just by allowing players to incorporate new stuff in the game. So when you're designing a participatory game, to connect, to help people to connect to their reality, it's not about having a realistic game. Realism is as Klebers was saying, realism is a too subjective notion. What is important, it's about allowing users to mentally create links between the game and their reality. And if you have this question in mind, this is the one question for game designers who use their games in participation, is what are the elements of the simulation that allow users to be able to observe the model reference system, their own reality? What are the elements that you, as a game designer, you will put in your simulation in your game? And it can be of different level. It can connect to, it can be related to game pieces and game elements. It can be connected to the game rules, and the elements that you will integrate in your games are meant to help players connect with their reality. They're here with our three, I would say, processes or three methods to operate observability. Accommodation is having game elements, game pieces that you can accommodate to the different players. Here we have an example that it is the same game piece, the same game element, the same interface of a game, and you can observe it through different point of views. It means that depending on the player, he can operate and interact with a game interface through different point of views, through point of views that makes sense for him, that make better sense for him. You have the adaptability of the game elements. Here you have an example of a board on which players can come and can add some stuff and say, no, I don't agree with this representation, and I will change it, and I will adapt this game element to another perspective that I would like to share with others, about sharing, about communication. Having the game as a mean of communication for people to be able to communicate with others. And free play. Free play is, as I was saying, having a closed game is not a good solution to be used in participatory for participatory purpose. Your game has to be able to accept new rules, to accept new elements, to be changed, to be moved, to be reframed by the players during the course of the game. Because the one of the process that operates during that kind of during a game session is for people to think about new rules and to be able to change the rules of the game. So I still have some more minutes, perhaps 10 minutes. I will come now to design in the large. Talk about the design of the game. Let's talk about the design of the process, how the game is used within the governance system. And how can you, the one question that you have to ask yourself in that kind of, for this level of design, is factors that may contribute to the success of the integration of the participatory gaming process in the socio-ecological system governance. So this is just to remind you what the governance is about these different type of different arena of governance and different arena of action. One of the factors is about the relation with the different governance levels. Having within your game, either by incorporating roles in the game that represent different level of organization, or by having people invited to your game that belongs to different level of organization, is a factor that helps the success of integrating, of connecting your game with the governance system and having effects on the governance system. Having participants belonging to different arena of different action arena. That is also another level, another horizontal level of incorporating the process within the governance system. Having inscriptions, having reports, having writings or other production about the games that are created and that can spread. So you have the game sessions, but you have other things than the game sessions. You have what people will say about. You have reports. You have journalists that may come. You have minutes of the games, and all those inscriptions are tools to use and that can convey also the outputs of the game, and that can circulate and can be spread within the governance system, within the social ecological system, and touching new actors, new persons that perhaps have not played, but that will also be be aware about some of the output and some about the thoughts that came out from those sessions. And also having games and having processes that can be repurposed, meaning that that again has when you operate such a process, such a participatory process, you shape your game, you design your game, but the game may have a second life, may be reused, may be reused for other purposes that perhaps will not fit your initial goal. But it's also about that, having a participatory process where local people and local partners can reuse things for their own purpose, and also make it their own tool and mean of communication. So for the last minutes, an example of application. I've talked about dolphins, I've talked about fishermen, but here I will talk about now I will talk about risk management and coastal risk management. In France, as in many other countries and parts of the world, we have issue about flooding, about marine flooding. So this is not very far from my office, but at the moment we have no storm, and it's to the right there. And we had and we still have storms and flooding events that comes time to time, every 4 or 5 years. This one in 2010 was especially important, and there were people injured and who died of those marine flooding. And we, since 7 years now, or 5 years, sorry, we have designed a game to help decision makers to think about prevention and about marine flooding prevention, because there is a lack of risk culture in, or there was a lack of risk culture that is, and there are a lot of people who are working now to enhance this risk culture, and the fact also that often the solutions about prevention is about building concrete dikes, but not so much about other type of strategies, such as reinforcing sand dunes, or reinforcing natural barrage to protection to the coastline, or even realignment, which means moving households and moving houses to inland areas. So the game is about this issue, in the game. Here you have a snapshot of the game. You can players, can have an area, and they can build dikes. They can raise dikes. They can repair those dikes. They can also urbanize, change to change to agriculture, or change to natural area, or densify, or even adapt house or relocate house. So this is the game by itself, and the players are divided into teams. Each team manage one city, one municipality, and time to time there is a flooding event, and so there is a numerical model that integrates all the decisions from the players, and they can see the flooding that operates, and which is taken into account their actions. Here you have a glimpse of the game. Players are able to play freely, to move across the room. There are a lot of moments of interactions between the different teams here, and also there is also other level of interaction with the interfaces through this game. So how did we operate observability in this LithoSim? The game is called LithoSim. So we use the game in different parts of France. You are perhaps not aware of the diversity of costs in France. We have that kind of cost with a large no, I don't fellas with large. The English word doesn't come. Anyway, that kind of cost. In the south, we also have more wetland areas, and in the west part of France, we have larger coastlines with large beach there in this area. So we have different type of territory. And how do we operate observability to be able to use this LithoSim game in different contexts, and yet having people and having players being able to recognize and to refer to the game as a projection of their own reality? Well, we use different type of archetypes of the same game. So we have the same game and the same rules, and we adapt the interfaces to be able to reflect the different type of coastlines. So here you have the coastline that refer more to the Normandy side. Here you have some another archetype of the game, which shows an estuary composition. And here you have those sandy beach and sandy coastlines, which are not so far from La Rochelle, from my office. So we use different archetypes. We also incorporate new features. So if we work in Camargue, and in the south of France, and that people here there also sync and manage their coastal area through special operations that are specific to wetlands management. We incorporate new features, new actions, new buttons, such as rules. Here it's a digital interface, so it's new buttons, but it can be new game pieces. And we let, as shown before, we let participants also redefine the meaning of the different colors, the meaning of the different game elements. So they can change those things. It's not closed, and they can say, okay, now we refer to this. We refer to this area as an area where there is I don't know, sport activities, or where there are some special accommodations and infrastructures that are built. Last, how do we connect LithoSim with our game with the governance system? To do that, the first thing is that when we use LithoSim game, we always organize and create a local steering committee. So when we go to Normandy, we have local steering committee that gather different partners from different governance level. So the steering committee and the people who are in charge of organizing the game sessions are from different organizations of the governance system of this area, which means that you need to understand and to analyze the different the network the network of actors there. We also organize series of workshops. We never do workshop one gaming session alone. We have series of workshops at several weeks of interval, and there we invite people from different groups, from different action arena, and from different institutions. We mix participants during those game sessions, and we evaluate those games. And this evaluation helps us to communicate about those games and to create reports to diffuse them. And also we disseminate our those results. We train people to use the game, other people to use the game and to facilitate the game, and eventually to repurpose the game, to reuse it for other purposes. And therefore, the philosophy of having those games also open source and able to and open to be reused is part of those of this process of including and integrating the game within within the governance system, so that it can operate change at the level of a territory. Well, I will conclude with some short remarks, or one short remark actually. I believe that participatory simulation and gaming is really an opportunity for our moment in our world, where we are looking at those social and environmental transition, and I think it's an opportunity, and we are certainly a lot of being aware about that. And having participatory simulation and gaming used for this transition, it's not about persuading people to change their behavior. We're not talking about telling people what to do. We're talking about providing tools, providing games, and means of communication for people to think about the complexity of the environmental issues they have to deal with, and to be able to use those games as means to imagine and change, to imagine new rules and change the rules of the game. That's what is participatory simulation and gaming aiming for. So for that, the way to that is still long but very exciting, and for that we need more training to facilitation. We have game designer, we have all good knowledge about game design. We need more training about facilitation and how to facilitate and how to encourage people to use those games freely. We need more free play game kits, and certainly we'll need more game designers. And therefore, I'm sure that I hope that a lot of the audience in India and the students in India are excited about joining this journey for the use of simulation and gaming as an opportunity to accompany the transitions that are ahead us. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have some questions, I would be pleased to answer.
Thank you so much, sir. You have explained very well about this gaming and simulation. And there are few questions in the question answer tab and in chat section, whether you would like to read from the question answer tab, or I can read questions.
Dr. Becu, I will read the question for you.
Yes, please, because sorry, I didn't take time to look at the question.
Okay, it is from Breeze. What is your opinion on the development or on the use of these gaming simulation tools for decision support in private companies or local authorities in the near future?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I would refer to one of my experience working with private companies, and in my experience is that when I had this project with a large private company, is that I worked with the section and with the office of participation and environmental well, it was the office for environment within the company, within the structure. So I was actually communicating and interacting with people who had the intention to communicate with their colleagues about those environmental issues. So my point is that you need an entry point of persons who are open to bringing environmental aspects in the discussion. So that was one thing. The second thing is that in my experience, in this experience, and perhaps it can be generalized to other domains. In this company, the sectors and the different offices are very spread and very there is few communication between the different services. For example, the commercial service with the production service, with the environmental service, with other offices of the company, and we know that it has been also shown by several of our colleagues that using games is a way to be able to grasp the whole system and not only certain aspects. So using gaming and simulation with private companies, I think it's about finding a good entry point, and is about being able to help different persons to think in a whole, and to incorporate this new factor that perhaps is not always taken into account by the production service or something like this. So help the different sectors of the company to better communicate together and to integrate and to have an integrated management of their activities.
Now we have Dr. Ashutosh Shukla as panelist with us. I invite him to ask the question. Sir, unmute yourself.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I want to know that can gaming and simulation plays a role in controlling marine pollution issues?
Yes, there are some projects about marine pollution, and in that topic, the difficulty is about making the connection between the impacts and the different stakeholders that may be at the source of those impacts. And we have a bit the same issue about climate change. Let me make my point clear. For a consumer, an average consumer, as we are all, it's not always easy to make a connection between those climate change issue and what we can do at our level, as we say, being able to make this connection between different levels of the system that are interconnected but complex, they are connected through complex processes, is not that easy. Therefore, the game the game has to be a mean for persons to be able to realize, to observe the connections they have with the marine population. So having a game that helps people to connect their activities, because all of us, we are all thinking and interacting with others also, always in a very selfish way, meaning that we are all we always think about our first goals and in our, I would say, short representation of the world. And we need tools, we need perhaps games, we need means for helping us to see the system from another perspective. And this is where games can be used, because they can be used as a way to focus, to take some focus and to look at the system in a more wider way.
That means they can act as a bridge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have with us Dr. Elena also as panelist. I welcome you, Dr. Elena, and invite you to ask the question.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, nice to meet you, Nicolas.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I have one question for you, and I see it also in the chat. How do you measure the effectiveness of your games, of simulation and gaming? What do you mean by effectiveness, and how far? I read a question from the chat. How far these games are effective in changing human behavior?
Great question. Thank you very much. So I work with sociologists, with political science scientists, and also with geographers, and together with those colleagues, we evaluate the effects of our games at two levels. We evaluate at the level of the workshop by itself, I would say. So we evaluate the learning of the learning effects, and this learning and within these learning effects, we also incorporate what we call political learning. Political learning is about learning how to defend an opinion, how to be able to develop a strategy according to your own convictions, and to defend it and to negotiate it with others. So this kind of learning, we believe, is very important because it is that kind of learning that is also after use within the negotiations and within the interaction of the stakeholders together among them after the game. So we evaluate that kind of learning. This is the first level of evaluation that we do. And the second level of evaluation that we do is that we observe for at least 6 months to 1 year, or even afterwards a bit, sometimes a bit more. We observe the territory, so we are invited in the committees that are organized there. We still have connections with the decision makers there, and we observe and we note the different change of policy or of strategies that may operate. This second level of observation is a descriptive analysis evaluation. It's not analytical, because we are not able to identify a direct connection between the effects of the game, the learning effects, and what we observe 6 months later in a steering committee, that we observe that this person is saying to the others that perhaps we should incorporate new rules in our coastal risk management. So we are not able to make a direct connection, because there are so many things that happen apart from the game in this territory. So what we do is that we have an analytical analysis of the game and of the learning effect by itself. We observe changes, and then we make assumptions, or we describe the changes that has been operate, but we cannot connect it directly to the game by itself. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Namrata, you have some question, Dr. Namrata? You're not audible.
Amrita ma'am, please ask your question.
I think she has some issue with his mic. So on her behalf, I read her question. Human behavior is one of the most important parameter in environmental issues. I think you already answered her question. Okay. So Rupali ma'am, please proceed further.
Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Nicolas Becu, and thank you, Dr. Jigasu Dubey, sir. Now, I would like to invite founder of Mentis, Dr. Vinod Damlekar, sir, to propose words of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rupali. Nicolas has made so many good points that I feel constrained is the right word, to summarize what he has said. And the gist is very important to all of us. I make three summaries, three items in summary. The first one is that a game forces you to analyze a situation. What he talked about, the analytical view in 1960, 1970, and to propose a computational view, which he talked in terms of probably the computer or a numerical way of representing the system. But today, of course, we talk about both these parts as a design and the development side of the game. The second issue that he spoke about was that a game could be proposed to understand the complex problems. Sometimes nowadays, we call that a wicked problem, something that you cannot easily solve, such as climate change and so on. Then again, it is very important because large complex problems need the participation of many, and that is where Nicholas's ideas come into play. The third one is slightly personal. Nicolas spoke about Jan Klaber's systems, design in the small and design in the large. I heard it in Munich in 2004, and when he proposed it, when Klaber proposed it, I did not understand what he was speaking about. To that extent, I think Nicolas has done a better job of explaining Klaber's systems of design in the small and design in the big, design in the large, better than Klaber's himself has done. So thank you. After 16, 17 years, I have understood what Klaber has said. It was very good presentation today. I know the rush of questions, I think, and the depth of questions says that. We are here to spread knowledge and understanding about simulations and games as a way of learning. So far, this run-up to the conference has invited and has interested, you are the seventh speakers from Sweden, Netherlands, Australia, Germany, Italy, Japan. I mean, almost the world is here. But so that the rest of the world is not left out, we also have speakers from Malaysia. Jaga is here somewhere. I see him listed there. Elena will be probably one of our speakers very soon. Peter Heiden is somewhere there. He's connected. Then we have speakers from England. We have another speaker from Sweden. We have Tyagi from US, and two other speakers are getting ready, such as Claudia has given us a permission. Maybe Elizabeth Tipton will join us. Toshiko is somewhere there. She's listening to us, but I hope she'll agree and say, yes, I will speak one day. She's somewhere there. She's not put up a... I can see her there. Okay, fine. I hope these other speakers will also come and share with us their ideas as to how to make the world a better place by learning with fun and excitement the way that simulation games only can. Thank you, Nicholas. This has been made possible because many people came together. The first was, of course, the leadership and the keen eagerness that Dr. Upinder Dhar showed in catching the responsibility and the opportunity to organize these games in India for the very first time. I wish we had done it last year, but no, I mean, it's only a year later. We're not very much late. Now he's backed up by a very good team of professors and teachers and academicians and other people, people like Dr. Dubey and his team of coordinators and behind the scenes people who put forward these things that to make it work. There are so many nuts and bolts that sometimes fail, but making it work, making this global collection of speakers listening to, I think we have had something like 160 participants listening today. I don't know how many listening on YouTube. So we've got hundreds of people listening. I hope more like you, Nicholas, come and speak and tell us about games. And I'm very happy that this group of people from Sri Vaishnav University have come together to produce these webinars. Thank you all. And I hope we can see all of you next week, same time, 3 to 4 people, 3 to 4 p.m. on the 16th and the 23rd as this month as well. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it was a great session. Thank you very much, Dr. Nicolas Becu, for conducting this session. And I hope that you will be traveling to India for attending ISAGA 2021. And I would also invite Elena for attending ISAGA 2021 in India. With God's grace, I am hopeful that we'll be able to do it physically and all of us can meet and learn from each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Vinit Domlekar, sir. And I want to thank all panel members to be present here. And I request all the participants to please fill the feedback form, which is shared in the chat box. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Becu.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Elena. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.